when I first met you, I'm not quite sure where you were in your recovery, but it was early days. It was definitely in the first few months. And one of the things I remember is that you had a real drive to be physically fit. And I remember seeing you and Andrew doing exercises in the park, and I think you were swimming a lot and going to the gym. How much do you think that has helped your recovery generally?
General, I think very well. You know, it's being active is something I now do. I go to the gym twice a week, and I do Tai Chi twice a week. And I mean, Tai Chi has been a great effect of just balance and understanding how to link moves together.
Right.
So yeah,
That's interesting. Good.
That you want foreign travel?
No, it hasn't, I've got to say. I mean, I think this was a horrendously unlucky place to be in for what happened, but it doesn't make me not want to go to places.
Hi Ben, thanks for the talk. From a medical point of view, why was there a gap between you coming home Christmas and then starting rehab in February? It seems quite a long time when nothing was happening. Or were you doing home rehab, or what happened at the time?
Well, do you want my honest answer? Yeah. Well, I mean, it was crap. That is crap. And that just shows how the NHS just doesn't work on time, and there are so many delays.
We basically just had to wait, you know, because there was no availability.
Yeah, because we're medical students and we're being told like the stroke, you start the first day. But I was wondering why there is like quite a point where nothing happened. That makes sense underfunding, because we get told the ideal picture versus what's happening out there. So I think
yeah. However, I mean, just to knock the NHS even more, because
it's a future employee. Hold on.
I realise. But I mean, perhaps there are some lessons that you can think about and take on board. Because when I got flown back in private ambulance, not only did they not know who I was, I was on a cocktail of drugs that were very well worked out onto my body, and he just said, yeah, no, we don't do any of that. So they took all the drugs off me when I was in a coma, and I consequently had a collapsed lung, which, I mean, is directly a result of the NHS, which, I mean, how on earth can that be, can that happen? I mean, that is just sincerely the worst thing that organisation can do. And believe me, there are so many other bad things that happen, or happened in my case, but it just shouldn't act like that, you know?
I mean, Ben is right that we did come back with a whole bag of drugs, and in the clinic in the Dominican Republic, the private clinic, was excellent, and there was a doctor there who would see us a couple of times a day, sometimes 3 times a day, to update us on Ben's condition. When he got, you'd get some infections there, they'd send a sample off to the lab and it would come back really quickly, and they'd then prescribe appropriate antibiotics. Back in here in the UK, we came back towards the end of the week, and they took a swab, I think, on a Thursday or Friday. We had to wait till the Monday to get the result, by which time his lung had collapsed. And the other thing which struck us was when he was in intensive care in the UK, we could never pin down who actually had overall responsibility for his care. We wanted to talk to somebody. We've got used to this regular feedback, We just wanted to know who could tell us what was happening and what the prognosis was. And most of the time, whoever was on duty didn't really want to talk to us. We did manage to pin down one or two people, I think, in his month in intensive care, who gave us actually a very good idea. But you know, it was not easy. We could never work out who actually was in charge.
And you know, the fact that workers prefer to have 3 12-hour days a week and then nothing else for the rest of the week really suits the workers.
It wasn't their choice though, but that's the way it was done. It was intensive care. They did sort of 3 13-hour shifts a week, so there was very little continuity, and they would tend to move the nurses around as well, I suppose, so they didn't get too, you know, attached in any way with one particular patient. And we said to them, well, how are they going to know, you know, what to do with them? And they said, well, it's all in the notes. But of course, that just doesn't work. And there was one occasion where Ben, he was catheterised, and we came in to see him. He was trying to pull the catheter out, though he was still sort of unconscious. And we told the nurse, that was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It wasn't until 11 p.m. at night that it was dealt with. You know, there are a number of incidents like that. Also in the rehab unit, where we actually had to write on the wall for the carers who were there. We discovered that he wasn't sleeping well at night, and we realised it was because he wanted to go to the toilet, but he couldn't express that. So in the end, we had to put up a big sign in big letters saying, "If Ben wakes up, take him to the toilet." Yeah.
Well, yeah, basic, but why? I mean, to be honest, the NHS, why on earth are they still making pitiful mistakes? I mean, one we talked, Dad talked about not being catheterised.
400 mil.
400 mil. And I actually, they left it so long, I had 1.5 litres urine, you know, which, I mean,
The one good thing about that, though, is he never gets up in the night now. A very good bladder.
Ben, do you have the sense of closure from the Dominican authorities on the experience of any interaction from after the
with who, sorry?
The authorities, whether it be the police force or any of the emergency services, do you feel closure, a sense of closure there?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I do, because, well, what happened, can't be changed, and to be honest, you know, my life is moving on, and I don't need those services so much, but yeah, I mean, the police, I don't think the police, the police only had to tell my dad what had happened to me, and then it was just so great when my brother came to get me. The only one I'd say I have a problem with is the NHS in a sense. However, I do realise that it's very difficult to change, and I hope that those issues will be sorted out in the long term, but I'm glad that right now I just don't need it.
So Ben, obviously the car just effed off. They never ever found the car.
No, they did, and there's not. Both drivers were prosecuted, and damages were awarded to Ben. Not that he's ever received the money, and there's still an ongoing court case. We're waiting for it because.
Did you find him though? They found him.
Oh yeah, they stopped. I mean, they were. The driver who actually hit Ben was only 18, and his parents 4x4 that he'd taken out at night, and he was quite traumatised by it, I think, himself. And he was, first of all, both drivers were found guilty, but later on he appealed and he was exonerated and we have an appeal against that because you know, nobody knows for certain what happened, but we think, well, the prosecutor felt he was driving too fast, and we don't exactly know if the other car which came up from the side turning, if it was stationary or if it was moving. You know, we don't really know, but it didn't seem right that first of all he was found guilty, and then because his parents were very middle class and the other driver wasn't, that he should then, you know, be exonerated. So that's still ongoing, you know.
So there's another victim in this, isn't there? Jazz,
Yeah.
who died.
Yeah.
What's happened? What's the scenario there with the parents and the relatives?
Well, I mean, they have been terribly affected by it, and they mourn Jazz a lot every day, and I think, you know, I could not remember Jazz for 2 years. And in that sense, it was just about, okay, my focus is on my recovery. And then, when I did remember her, I mean, I was so happy I could remember her. And there wasn't, with that, there wasn't the sadness that, or the grieving that the family feel and are dealing with. But it's, I don't know, it's difficult for them. But I've obviously kept in touch with them, but they know I don't have that same level of grief, and it's difficult to engage with, and people are grieving so hard, and I'm just so happy I can remember her, you know.
They live in Canada, Montreal, and I mean, for a long time Ben had daily contact with Jazz's mother. Parents were separated. The father had sort of was persona non grata largely, but yeah, Ben would speak to Abby, the mother, virtually daily for a couple of years, I think.
Ben,
Yeah.
am I right in remembering that you organised a memorial for Jazz, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
You also again as well.
Yeah. And that was up in London, and her mum did come to that, and I think for her it was a very beneficial thing for her to do, and like to meet her English family, and I think straight after it happened, she did come over, and she kind of fell out with her family in England quite a lot. But I think her coming back to the memorial allowed her to reconnect the family, and yeah, I think it was a very good thing for herself and her family to bring things back together. But I don't know, the mourning I think is still very apparent and very much affects her life.
I have a question. How did it come to be that you had different people writing different sections? Like, how did that happen, and how many people actually?
25, I think.
Some of them are here. Well, let them identify themselves if they want to.
Yeah, but well, so many people, just because, I mean, it's such a big story that affected so many people in my life in so many different ways. I wanted them to express the emotions they were going through as well. So yeah, in taking that course, it became quite a wide encompassing thing.
one of the consequences of head injury, one of the common consequences, is that people become more assertive and say what they think instead of just sort of keeping it to themselves. So Ben was very good at chasing people who said, "Yeah, oh yeah, I'll write something," and then 6 months later they'd done nothing. So he'd say, "Well, come on, you said you'd do it, you know." So if anybody needs a project manager, Ben is the perfect candidate for that kind of work, because he makes people do what they say they're going to do.
And how's it been for you then, like the process of the book being written, and like how have you found that? Because obviously it's quite a huge thing for you and your family and everyone involved.
Yeah.
So what's that kind of been like for you?
Well, it was a mission, yeah, and something I had to chase, I guess, with getting people to write, and then trying to find a publisher. That was difficult in itself, and now it's done. You know, I feel great that, you know, that's something that's come out of such an awful event. However, I mean, it's not done as such, you know. I would like to promote this everywhere. I would like everyone to read it and buy a copy and stuff.
That's a hint, I think.
Yeah. But no, my latest point is thinking about how to turn it into a film.
Wow.
But yeah, I have no idea how that will go.
Ben, could I ask about, on a practical note, whether fatigue and tiredness, whether you were affected by that in your recovery?
Yeah, I was. Like, I think especially when I was doing my masters, I was exhausted, you know. And as my parents would say, you know, I would get home and just have to go straight to sleep. I was just.
And is that something that has improved, or have you just coped better with that?
No, I think that now I think I'm now a lot more normal, and it has improved massively.
In your recovering and dealing with various different therapies, did you join different groups of people who suffered similar things to create your own community, or did you, by the sound of it, separate yourself and continue without all of those communities?
Yeah, I wasn't into the communities. I think to start with, I was advised to go to a headway support group, and my carer Andrew would come with me. But I found it very negative, because it was kind of a weekly chance for people to vent about either their injury or their partner saying, you know, I can't sleep in the same room anymore, and I just thought, I didn't want that, I didn't need that, you know. I mean, and Andrew, my support worker, was like, yeah, it's fine, at 6, I leave. You know, I don't have to sleep within the same room or whatever.
It's also fair to say that Ben's friends were such a support to him. You know, they've been fantastic throughout the whole thing, so he did still have a group around him who sort of understood where he was, you know. That's it, they still do.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
How much has the support of your family and your friends made an impact? How much difference has that made?
question is, how much difference has the support from friends and family made? You can't hear it at the back.
It's been imperative. I do not know what would have happened if I didn't have that to ground me, to look after me, and I don't know. I mean, that's kind of why I say, you know, don't judge people who are homeless or appear very drunk. Could be something completely different.
I think Ben would be out on the street now if he hadn't had his family and friends around him.
Gentlemen, I think we're going to wrap it up now. So to say thank you to Hugh and especially to Ben for a really fantastic evening. And if you'd like to buy Ben's really inspirational book, again, we'll be saying, grab a copy from there. We'll be saying it. So thank you to and Ben. Thank you.